Welcome to Global Reality. Let's get started. With the release of the Kerela story, the ISKP, a part of ISIS, has gained notoriety because of three women who joined ISKP. So obsessed with the ISIS ideology that they left their homes and families behind to join the Islamic organization. Before diving into the controversies that surround the film, or the truth if these girls were either threatened or enticed and groomed to become part of the Islamic State, let us get to know what ISIS is all about. ISIS is a militant organization that emerged as an offshoot of Al-Qaeda in 2014. It was founded by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. As soon as it distanced itself from Al-Qaeda, which was founded by most notorious of all extremists, Osama bin Laden, it took control of large parts of Iraq and Syria and declared a creation of a caliphate and imposed strict Islamic rule.
أعلن دولة الخلافة فعلى كل مسلم في أرض الشام وفي كل بلاد الإسلام أن يبايع هذا الخليفة.
It attracted thousands of fighters not only from the Muslim world but also a large number of recruits from more than 100 countries, including huge numbers from Europe and America. The fighters that ISIS recruited to establish its ideology were mostly men, but there were also a huge number of women from all over the world who left their homes and families willingly or were sometimes forced, enticed, trafficked, or even sold into marriages to help ISIS build its caliphate. The ISIS also set up marriage bureaus to recruit young marriageable girls and called on fellow jihadis in countries from all over the world to recruit brides for the fighters and then send them to Syria. These women are referred to as ISIS brides. Though ISIS usually does not recruit women for battlefield roles, there are a few who subsequently acquired high public profiles, playing active roles including inflicting brutalities on other women, primarily against non-Muslim captivities, and encouraging ISIS terrorists to rape and sexually abuse them. While many were confined as stay-at-home housewives assigned to domestic chores like cooking, cleaning, and childbearing for the men.
The Islamic State was seizing territory at will. It was recruiting fighters from around the world. ISIS also needed women to marry the fighters, cook and clean for them, bear children, and when needed, be human shields.
When the ISIS was wiped out in 2019, these foreign recruits, amounting to more than 65,000, were left homeless. They now live a life of misery and destitution in the most unhygienic, overcrowded, and intolerable conditions in Syrian detention centers. Since they have been labeled as terrorists and rejected from their own homeland and denied Syrian citizenship, they have no place to go. Most refugees in these Syrian camps are women with very young kids born out of marriages or rapes. According to numbers presented in a report, International Civil Society Action Network emphasizes that out of 41,490 foreigners from around 100 countries who became affiliated with ISIS, up to 4,761 or 13% of them are women. France, for example, by 2015 had the biggest number of jihadis, of which around 30% of them are women. As of 2015, the largest number of foreign jihadis from ISIS in the world are citizens of France, who account for 25%. The number of female jihadis was seen to be about 150 girls from the UK and at least 40 girls from Germany, most of whom were between the ages of 16 to 24. The issue of ISIS brides is complex and controversial. Many people believe that these women are just as guilty as the men ISIS fighters, while others believe that they were victims of brainwashing and coercion or were forced into marriages. Many of those women were subject to violence, abuse, and rape. There are brides who openly admit their commitment to the jihadi cause, while some of them claim innocence and express a desire to disconnect from the ideology and begin a new life. Now it is hard to verify their claims, and it is equally hard and trust their statements. And so now that ISIS has been defeated, there is a debate about what should happen to these women. Should they be allowed to return to their home countries? Should they be prosecuted for their involvement with ISIS? Or should they be left behind in the region where they had married their ISIS fighters? One of the solutions that has been proposed for dealing with ISIS brides is the rehabilitation. Some countries have set up programs to help these women reintegrate into the society and help them to overcome their traumatic experiences. These programs include counseling, education, and job training. However, there are also concerns about the effectiveness of these programs and the risk of these women re-engaging in terrorist activities. Many countries have refused to allow these women to return to their home countries, citing security concerns and the potential they may pose to the nation. Seeking to rehabilitate these women and reintegrate them into the society, some other countries have taken some more lenient approach. Here are some examples of the complexities that the issue entails and how different countries have approached the issue. The UK has been criticized for its handling of ISIS brides. The government has stripped many of them of their citizenship, leaving them stranded in detention camps in Syria. Some women have been allowed to return to the UK, but they have been arrested and prosecuted for their terrorism-related offences. Shamimabegum is perhaps the most well-known British ISIS brides who became the centre of media frenzy and captured the world's attention. She was one of those 3 girls from East London who left the UK at the age of 15 to voluntarily join the ISIS in Syria and got married to an ISIS fighter. The UK government later stripped her of her citizenship. Karina Shakil was the first British woman to be prosecuted and convicted for joining the Islamic State.
But I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for the grooming process. Nobody ever just wakes up and says, right, I'm going to go and run away to Syria today. No, it happens because of the grooming process.
It has been reported that around 150 British women and girls who left the UK to join the ISIS makes a 12% of all British citizens who travelled to Syria and Iraq to join the Islamic State. The US has also taken a tough stance on ISIS bride. Citing security concerns, the government has not allowed them to return to the country. Some American women who travelled to the region to join the ISIS have been captured by the US-backed forces and are now being held in detention camps. Samantha Sari, who lived in Syria with her ISIS husband, was allowed to return to the US in 2018 and pleaded guilty for supporting terrorism.
You know, will the government try to take my kids away from me when I've done nothing but try to protect them? I think I'll go there, I'm broke, I have nothing.
Hoda Muthana, an American woman from Alabama who ran away at the age of 20, says she regrets everything about joining the terror group and also claims that she was brainwashed into joining the group. She is making desperate plea to return home and also willing to serve prison time if necessary. She is being denied entry to the US and is being currently held in detention camp.
Hoda Muthana was 20 years old when she left her home in Hoover, Alabama in 2014 to become the bride of an ISIS fighter in Syria. Now a mother and a widow, she's living in a refugee camp.
I know I ruined my future and my son's future, and I'm deeply, deeply regretting.
In a letter to her family seen by CBS News, she wrote, "I was a naive, angry and arrogant young woman, but seeing bloodshed up close changed me."
Tanya Zoya was one of such ISIS brides who regretted joining the ISIS. She was married to a highest-ranking American in ISIS named John Georgilas, but she returned back to US with her 4 sons.
We got married and I got pregnant. John dressed up my son like a jihadi. I thought it was so cute. Our dreams were to have land of our own, raise a family, train them to be assassins or whatever, soldiers, then eventually go join the jihad. John wanted to go to Syria and I just kept telling John, I'm not ready, not while the kids are small. He said it's only for 2 weeks max. So we went to Syria. I was 5.5 months pregnant. The kids and I fell sick. I wanted the rebels to win and I wanted to be part of it, but not inside Syria with children. He told me to just leave, to go with the kids without him.
France has taken a different approach, seeking to repatriate its citizens who joined ISIS. The government has set up programs to help rehabilitate and reintegrate them into the society. However, the issue remains controversial, with some people concerned about the potential security risks posed by the return of ISIS fighters and their families. Anne Diana Klein, a French woman who travelled to Syria with her husband and children to join the ISIS, was captured by Kurdish forces and was later allowed entry into France, but convicted after being charged with criminal offences. Klein, who is a sister of Fabienne and Jean Klein, 2 ISIS terrorists who shared an audio recording taking responsibility for 2015 Paris attacks, in which 130 people were killed. In 2022, France repatriated 51 women and children from camps in Syria, while 160 French children, 75 women, and 60 French men are still being held in detention camps. Germany has taken a case-by-case approach to the issue of ISIS brides. Some women have been allowed to return to the country, but they have been arrested and prosecuted for their terrorism-related offences, while others have been prevented from returning to their home country, citing security concerns. A German woman, Jennifer, who travelled to Syria with her husband to join ISIS, was captured by Kurdish forces and is being held in Syrian detention camp. Her trial for terrorism-related offences began in Germany in April 2021. Germany became the first country to start trials on ISIS perpetrators for genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and human trafficking. Germany repatriated 27 children and 8 women from Syrian detention, half of whom were arrested on arrival. Canada has taken a similar approach to France, seeking to repatriate its citizens who joined the ISIS. The government has established programs to help reintegrate these individuals into the society, including access to mental health services and assistance in providing employment opportunities. However, there has been controversy over the decision to bring these individuals back to Canada, with some arguing that they should be held accountable for their actions. Rehab Dagmosh, a Canadian woman who attempted to attack people with a golf club and a knife at a Canadian tire store in 2017, was found to have pledged allegiance to ISIS. She was later arrested and pleaded guilty on terrorism-related charges. Another Canadian woman, Kimberly Paulman, travelled to Syria with her husband and children to join ISIS, but was later captured by Kurdish forces. She regretted her decision to join the terror group, claiming she had been caught in a world of lies. She was repatriated to Canada in 2019 and has not been charged with any crimes.
I wish that I hadn't gotten caught up in a world of lies and secrets and fear.
These cases drew public attention to many women and teenagers who had voluntarily left their home countries to join the Islamic State. It is estimated that in the present world that about 8,000 children who have been sent to ISIS camps are also in danger of becoming victims of their bigotry ideology. Studies have shown that the broad and varied reasons for radicalizing is the worldwide appeal of brotherhood, a desire to be part of the state-building efforts of ISIS or be a part of something bigger and divine. The girls claimed that they were attracted by the idea of living a true and pure Islamic life. India was no exception to this. Soon ISIS affiliates in India began enticing and then recruiting young girls by the idea of establishing an ideal Islamic state. A couple of years ago, ISIS released a 4-minute video of Indian recruits pledging to carry out jihad in India. This was followed by multiple arrests by the NIA from almost a dozen states including Delhi, UP, Kerela, Karnataka and many others. NIA, National Investigation Agency, suspected the PFI to be recruiting the Indian youths for the ISIS and banned the terror group and number of its affiliates and arrested around 100 PFI members. This was followed by an opposition by the Voice of Khorasan, a propaganda magazine of the ISIS which only validated the allegations of the NIA against the PFI. The recruitment of youth from India and the radicalization by the ISIS and its affiliates became a serious concern for the country, and India banned ISIS under the UN schedule under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. We also need to recall the incident of June 2014 when 46 Indian nurses and 58 other on July 12, 2014 were held captive in war-raged Iraq for 23 days by the ISIS. It is impossible to forget the horrific ordeal the nation went through in those 23 days, knowing ISIS temperament, its brutalities, and the harm it could inflict on the nurses that were held hostage. It was the then External Affairs Minister Srimati Sushma Swaraj who promptly activated informal channels and rescued our nurses under extremely difficult circumstances. While 4 Indian girls, Sonia Sebastian alias Aisha, Marin Jacob alias Mariam, Nimisha alias Fatima Isa, and Rafaela, who left India in 2016 to join ISKP, are center of all attraction with the release of the Kerela story, which is based on their lives. There have been heated debates on the claims initially made by the filmmakers of about 32,000 of Indian women being indoctrinated and persuaded to join the Islamic cause, as there are no official records to support these claims. But investigations made by the NIA provide authentic and ample evidences of an alarming ISIS presence within India's borders, which is a grave threat to our national security. So even though the number of recruitments from India can be a matter of debate, we need to make concrete attempts to stop the numbers from growing and becoming a reality in the distant future. This is not a war against any community or faith. This is against a particular ideology. This is a clarion call for all Indians to not be complacent and pay attention to this indoctrination by the ISIS, which has a target to decapitate not only India but the entire world. India is not the only nation to act up on ISIS. There is an international coalition of more than 60 countries led by the US, which has led a global fight against ISIS since late 2014. While some ISIS brides who surrendered after the collapse of ISIS have regretted their decisions, there are still a good number of them who have shown no remorse or regret, even going to the extent of justifying the horrible practices of kidnapping, raping, and beheading that Islamic jihadists resort to. These radicalized and hardened women were in fact at some point of time active foot soldiers who were not only active recruiters but assisted their men in most brutal killings and executions of hostages, and also held Yazidi girls captive for their men to abuse and rape.
يا كايدن وين المفاتيح؟ بايدن تفضل بس وقت الباب المنورة هات المفاتيح دقيقة قلت لهم سبني سنة ومن دبنن قدر كون فخورية كيس كين كل ده كأخذ على لازم جركنا
In the case of much media celebrated Shamimabegum, she openly justified the suicide bombings in Manchester as just a retaliatory action to airstrikes that killed hundreds of ISIS terrorists.
Some of the British men, some of the women, some of the kids from Manchester who were killed in the Manchester arena. You must have heard about that attack. What did you think about that?
I was shocked, but
What?
I just couldn't. I didn't know about the kids actually, but I do feel that it's wrong that people, like innocent people did get killed. It's one thing to kill a soldier that is fighting you, you know, it's self-defense, but to kill people like women and children, just like people, you know, like the women and children in Baghuz that are being killed right now unjustly by the bombings. It's a two-way thing, really, because women and children are being killed back in the Islamic State right now, and it's kind of retaliation. Like their justification was that it was retaliation, so I thought, okay, that is a fair justification.
This is Fatima Isa, an Indian recruit to Islamic State in Afghanistan. She still trusts and believes in the Sharia law, but she wishes to return back to India, claiming it to be her rightful place.
Do you want to go back to India from this?
Yeah, of course. See, I can't say that I want to stay in Afghanistan. See, Afghanistan is not my place. India was my place. So if they will take me, they won't put me in jail and I'm not oppressed, then I would want to go back to India.
And what she will become? She will. You will continue to be in Daesh.
See, now, right now, am I in Daesh? No, right.
No, but you have the philosophy of Daesh, right?
No, I don't have the philosophy of Daesh. I just wanted Allah's Sharia to be here.
Even as the ISIS is decimated, its jihadibrides vow to continue with the cause of jihad.
إذا رجالنا ماتت فنسائنا ما ماتت، فبإذن الله رح تربي هذا الجيل واللي أصغر منه واللي أكبر منه بإذن الله حتى يطلعوا مجاهدين بإذن الله، حتى يعني هم يقتلوا لنا دائما يعني نحن نحس دولة يعني كل المسلمين يريد يعني واحد أرض.
If she was shocked at my appearance, I was shocked to hear the story of 19-year-old Yasmina, married first at the age of 13. As successive husbands were killed, she married 6 times in 6 years to 4 foreigners and 2 Syrians.
لا أنا هذا الشيء يعني كان يعني أسوي السنة يعني هيك هذه السنة يعني عشان هذا كله في سبيل الله. هي في سبيل الله يعني يستشهد واحد الزواج واحد.
What's really striking talking to these women is how much they still adhere to the Islamic State. Many of them have fled from town to town to town under bombing. They've seen the most terrible things in war, and yet they are true believers. It's going to take a lot to get them to change their minds.
أحلى شيء الدولة الإسلامية باقية وبس، وبإذن الله إن شاء الله الأيام الجاية أفضل.
ضمن الدولة الإسلامية كنت تشوفي لما
نحن كلياتنا أخي أخوة في مليون ألف زلمة كلياتهم زلمة واحد، النساء كلياتهم أخوات، قلب واحد ودين واحد، تمام؟
والداعش لا تنتهي لا قيام الساعة، وأتمنى تنشرون هذا المقطع بكل أنحاء العالم. لا مستحيل. الدولة الإسلامية راح
So now countries are grappling with what to do with women who have left their homeland to join the ISIS. Though many women were not operationally involved and they did not participate in direct violence, they were undeniably a part of the radicalized organization and they believed in the ideology of the ISIS and are still highly indoctrinated. So is attempting to de-radicalize and rehabilitate these women an option? And how to ensure that they do not continue to be active recruiters or continue to threaten the national security? That is something countries across the world, including India, will have to figure out. As far as curbing further radicalizing is concerned, we need to create and encourage more awareness through more productions like the Kerela story, which reaches out to people in mass numbers. It is important to address the undeniable factors that lead to radicalization and prevent further recruitment to extremist groups. I request all my viewers to watch the Kerela story to support the cause. I have attempted to present before you a few facts in the most unbiased manner possible. As we can clearly see that the Kerela story isn't confined to a certain state of India alone. This is an issue the entire world has witnessed. If you were to casually search for isisbrides on YouTube, you will come across scores of news and documentaries which have uncovered such stories from across the world. Now I repeat again, this is not an attack on any religion, nor is this a promotional video for the Kerela story, but this is a genuine concern to restrain a devilish ideology from unleashing terror, disrupting world peace, and attacking the dignity of our women and innocent youth and destroying civilizations. Let us all face the bitter truth and act accordingly before time runs out. So consider this my humble request and do watch the Kerela story. If you like our content, do like, share and comment on the video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.